Hello everyone. In this session today we are going to discuss about the different types of RDDs. In the last section we talked about RDDs, different characteristics. So today we are going to discuss about the types of RDDs. In the types of RDDs, before knowing about different types of RDD, we should know that that RDD supports different types of data. So RDD supports data type. So RDD supports, you can say, primitive data type. When I say primitive, I have integer, or we have char, or we have some boolean. So these kind of primitive data type RDD supports. RDD also supports sequence data type, which are basically like strings, or you can say list, or dictionary, or we can say we have an array, or any kind of tuple. It also support the Scala, or you can say Java objects. When I say object, the object means over here that the object which is able to serialize. That means the object which are serializable, so that it can transfer the data from the one node to the another node of the cluster. Only serializable property is able to do that. Okay. So one of the serializable property is just to persist the data into the save the data into the save the data or save the object in a persistent storage device. And second one is like it can be able to move the data from one node to the another, or it can support any mixed data type or mixed kind of data you can also use for the different types of. So now the first type of RDD we are going to discuss is about the pair RDD. This is very interesting and very important, and you are going to use lot of pair RDD in this. So when I say pair RDD, it means that it's a key value pair. That means we will be having two things as a tuple, key and value. So here what the Spark provides, the different operations, you can say, of RDDs that contain the key value pair. That means containing key and value pair, and that is called a pair RDD. That is called a pair RDD. So different kind of operations available in terms of key and value, and we are going to see those things. Okay, and this is very much useful. This pair RDD is very much useful when you can say implementing the logic of kind like MapReduce. I'm not saying the MapReduce program, but the kind of programs logic that what we use in MapReduce. Why? Because this MapReduce which we have discussed in the last time are about the key and value. Everything in the MapReduce is a key value. That is why paired RDD is also key value. That means it will help the Spark program to understand that kind of behavior where the map key and value things are accessible and they can use in that way. This pair RDD actually support different data processing needs, and those data processing needs are like, you can say, like sorting, or you can say joining. When we have a key, just understanding that from that perspective, when we have a key, then what we can do, we can sort the things, we can join, we can do grouping, or we can do some kind of counting on keys, or we can do some kind of aggregation on that, right? Now now the question arises, how we can create a pair RDDs. What is the approach that we can create in a pair RDD? How we can create a pair RDD? Like, the first way we can do that is like, you can use the method called sc.parallelize, the same method, but this method contains a list. Now the element of the list will be tuple. Like, just say 1 2 is a key value, another element is your, let's say, 3 is a key, 56 is a value, 2 is a key, and then suppose say 80 is a value. So this kind of this, these two are actually a key value pair, and this is first element, this is second element, this is third element. Now with this approach you can create the pair RDD. The second approach of creating a pair RDD is through the map function. So you can create a map function. So now let's say you have sc.parallelize and you have some data. Okay, so let's say data is in the form of like list 1 2 3 4 5. Now this is in your RDDR, and now what you can do, you can call the map function, and map function, what it will do, it will call the lambda and taking first element from the list x, and then I am creating a pair RDD. That means I need to use parenthesis. Now first element will be, it can be anything like x, or you can say that another element is the square of x. So now this will become the map. So now this is a map which is having key value pair. First key is your element from the list, this is an element from the list, and this is a value, which is actually the square of the key. So this is what we have created. So this is the second way of creating the pair RDD. Now, second type of RDD is your double RDD. Right? Now the double RDD is actually, you can say it consists of collections of double value, collection of double value. And when we have this kind of RDD, then we have a many, you can say many statistical functions available, and we can apply those statistical function on these kind of RDDs. And those function can be like simple function in terms of is called like a distinct, or you can say sum, and many other functions also. Now, very interesting thing to remember or to understand is that automatically the new methods added automatically. What does it mean? I mean to say that let's say we have simple RDD, then we have certain kind of transformation and action. But when we convert that RDD into, let's say, double RDD, automatically statistical function will come. And or we can say that if our normal RDD converts into the pair RDD, then different kind of functions or transformation or actions will be available. The new method will be added automatically, but it depends on the content. It depends upon the type or content of the data actually that RDD holds. Okay. So now in this double RDD, we have, let's say, sc.parallelize, and then we have a sequence of 1.0, comma 2.0, comma 3.0, and so on, such that. Okay. So this is the second kind of RDD. So now third type of RDD is like your sequence RDD, sequence file RDD. There are lots of kinds of RDD, but we are going to discuss very few of them. So sequence RDD is actually created from your sequence file, and this sequence file is heavily used in the Hadoop. And you know that you have already discussed about the sequence file in the previous session. So sequence file is basically used in the Hadoop, and you can create the sequence file RDD in Spark also. Like now another RDD is like shuffle RDD. Shuffle RDD is actually, you can say, shuffle is an operation, very important operation in Spark or in any big data processing language is a shuffle. So shuffle RDD, you can shuffle the elements by key. Okay, and this shuffle is very, very important. And then I have kept a separate session on the shuffle. Okay, so it will be a different sessions about the shuffle. Now it accumulates the value for, like, you can say value for some key on some executor. Why? Just to allow the aggregate, or you can say some kind of combining logic. So what does it mean? That in, let's say you have a different nodes, you have a different partition where the data is. So what it will do, it will accumulate some key, that means some, let's say key number 1. So it will accumulate, let's say, some key, that means let's say key number 1, okay, on some executor. That means this key can be available in different executor. Let's say these are the different executor. This key is available over here, here, and here also. These are your executor are running on that. And so that you can aggregate these three, that means k is equal to 3. The value of the total aggregation or combining logic is like that. So this shuffle will be very, very much beneficial into that. Right now, example, any of these kind of logic example is like reduce by key. And again, reduce by key and group by key is another very important functions to understand in the Spark. And then we will spend one separate lecture on the difference between this reduce by key and the group by key. Okay. Apart from that, we have another function, another RDD types of RDD is called union RDD. Now this union RDD is actually the result of union of two RDDs. Now this resultant RDD will contain elements of both RDDs. Okay, so these are the simple RDDs we have. So now let's discuss about the another topic is called saving files. Right, saving files. The first approach in saving file is a method called save as text file. Now what it do is it actually save a text file in the Spark. And then how we can use it, like example, let's say word is my RDD, and then I have to call the function called save as text file. Just please remember ATFN capital letter, and I need to give the path, which is in our case we can give the Spark file system path over here, and then we can store. Otherwise, you can give the HDFS path also. Now the save as a text file is actually your RDD action, because it is actually the result of that. Once you save, that means you are doing some action and this plan will execute. It's not a transformation, it's an action. Okay. Now while specifying the path, while specifying the path, what you can do, you can specify the path, or you can also add the compression codec, which is optional. Okay, it depends on you want to put or not. So let's say let me give an example. Example like, again my RDD is words, save as text file, and then I can give a path over here, and then I need to give a codec, which is like a class of, and then any codec like gzip2 codec. Okay, so this is the how we can save the text file. Or what else we can do, we can use some sequence file also. So for sequence file, we have sequence file we can save, and these sequence files are the binary key value pair, and then these sequence files are extensively used in MapReduce as a input and output functions. An example we can give, like let's say again we have a RDD called words, then I can call a save as object file, and then I need to give the path. Okay, so this is another way of saving the files. Now we are going to discuss a very interesting thing, which is called like partitioning, controlling the partition. So now what happened with your RDDs, we can have a control over how data is distributed across a cluster. Okay, that what does it mean? When you have a partition, this we can create a number of partitions, and then our partition will be on, like our data will be on which partition we can put also logic with the help of custom partition. So now just to control the partitions, how we can controlling the partition, that means there are two functions. I'm not talking about the partition, but I'm talking about the few functions how we can control the partition, how we can increase and decrease the partition. The first approach is your function called coalesce. Okay, first function is your coalesce function. This function reduces the number of partitions. Now you can say that your partitions are on some different worker. Okay, now very important to remember that we are saying that this function is used to reduce the number of partition, but it doesn't work to increase the number of partition, to increase the partition, right? And these partitions are working on some kind of workers. Now just to avoid, when we have a partition and we want to just avoid shuffle, because this function, this coalesce function avoids the shuffling. Okay, I'm going to tell you what is the shuffling of data. So avoid the shuffling of data whenever we do the repartitioning. The shuffling will not be there. How it is, I will just tell you in a moment. Now let's say take an example. We have a one word called RDD, and this is your RDD, and this RDD contain two partitions. How we can create these two partitions? We can create this partition with the help of like sc dot parallelize, and I'm giving a data and 2. This way I have created a partition 2. This is very important. Now this is the way how we can reduce or increase. So let's say how we can apply the class function. So now I have a words dot class function, and I'm putting 1. This will create one partition, and just to check the number of partitions, I'm applying a function called get num partitions. So it will tell you the number of partitions, how many number of partitions is also there. Now when you do the repartitioning, it also changes the number of nodes by moving your data. Okay, the moving data from some partition to some existing partition. So what does it mean? It will move the partitions. That means, let's say if you are from data from the two partitions, you are creating only one partition, or you are repartitioning the one partition, then all the data from the number 2 partition will come to 1. Okay, so just to understand this logic, I'll just give you a small example. Okay, example is, let's say we have a data RDD which is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is my data, and I have created an RDD called sc.parallelize, and I'm giving a data and 4 partition. Okay. So when I say 4 partition, that means my partition A and I have partition B and then C and then D. These are 4 partition I have, and the partitioner, how it works, let's assume that the first 2 data will go to the A partition, third three data will go to this partition, next 2 partition, and next. So it is based on some kind of hash partitioner, some kind of partitioner is available, and then based on that data is partitioned in such a way. Now just remember we have 4 partitions. Now when you apply rdd dot collapse function over here, and then you keep as a 2, and now your rdd become another rdd or rdd1. Now with this, your partitions are will be like, let's say, partition A and partition B, because now from 4 partition we are changing it to 2 partition with the help of collapse function. Now how it happens? Now the data from on A, which is 1 and 2, is will be there. B, we have a 3, 4 and 5 will be there. Okay. Let's say that these 2 partitions remain same, and then these 2 partitions change. So now what happened? The data from C, let's say, moves to 6 and 7 over here, and 8, 9, 10 move here based on some logic. So now the data which are available in the A and which are available in the B has not moved. That means this shuffling is not there. The data is already there. Shuffling is not there. So this is the meaning of uh, collapse function, where the shuffling is not there. What happened actually over here is the, let me write this point also, very important. So now this function move the data from partition, you can say, C to partition A. Similarly, it also move the data from partition, you can say, D to, let's say, partition B. Okay, this movement they have already done, and the data in this partition A and B, the data in partition A and B doesn't move. So that means there is no shuffling over here. Okay, now this algorithm or this function is fast in certain situation, not every time. In certain situation it is very fast, because it minimize the data movement, it minimize the data movement. Okay, so this is the collapse function. Collapse basically do 2 things, like it avoid the shuffle, and it you can only reduce the number of partition, not increase the number of partition. This is one function. Second function is repartition. Now this repartition function allow to increase and decrease both. So it will help you in increasing, and it will help you in decreasing the partition. So this is better approach, but both approaches have the pros and cons. Shuffling is very time consuming, very expensive process. Please remember that. Shuffling is a very expensive process. Now in this repartitioning, it will also help you to increase. That means this repartitioning will perform shuffling. Okay, so it will perform shuffle across the nodes, and then what it will do, it will equally distribute your data among the partition. Okay, now here, if you increase the partition, that means what you are doing, you are increasing the level of parallelism. For example, we can do like, again we have words dot repartition, and then you can use 10. Earlier it was, let's say, 5, but this approach is very useful when we want to increase the number of partitions, but it doesn't attempt to minimize the data movement, because shuffling will be there, like your function called collapse. Okay, so now to understand this much better, let's take an example. Let's say we have a partition 0 and 1, and in the partition 0 we have data 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10. I'm just writing some random numbers just to making a 10 partition. That means you have how many partition? 2 partition. Now if you apply, and this is your RDD, this is your RDD. So what you do, RDD1 is equal to RDD dot repartition, then you apply, let's say, 6. So out of 6 you are increasing. That means you are increasing the number of partition, increasing the partition. So now let's say what happened, partition 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 will be there. So we have 6 partitions based on the partition function. We are increasing the partition. So just the value will be, let's say in zero partition we have 5, 6, 1, 2. Let's say I'm just giving some number based on some partition logic. So what happens? The value which was there in the 1 is reshuffled. So it is something like that. You have two boxes, have some number cubes. Then when you assign or when you distribute this data to more boxes, then it is not there. Then you will keep take some volumes. You take some data and put into some other box. You will take all the data out of the two boxes and then you reshuffle and then you assign it again. That means this is shuffling is again a tedious process. Okay. Now you can say over here is like as the partition or as repartition does a full shuffle of data, so the number of partition can be increased. I hope you are understanding. Let's say I have two boxes, two partition. Now I have value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's say I'm assuming. So now if you have to assign to 6 boxes, let's say, so it is not like that you will keep the data over here. You will first take out these two data over here, 1, 2, 10, and then you will assign based on some logic data to in these. That means this is a shuffle, and this is again expensive. A shuffle is a very expensive process. Okay, so this is about the partition. So last thing about we will discuss about the RDD lineage. Okay, this RDD lineage is also called as RDD operator. Okay, or you can also say that RDD dependency graph. Okay, dependency graph, which is like a DAG, and DAG nowadays very very important. Now you can say this RDD lineage is actually a graph, and it's a graph of all parent RDD, parents RDD of RDD, graph of all parents RDD of RDD, and this kind of graph is actually built as a result of applying the different transformation on the RDD. Means for every transformation, I just want to mean that for every transformation we have new node in a graph. So what does it mean? It is actually creating, DAG is creating a logical execution plan, because physical is when you actually execute it. So here graph is like what transformation needed to execute or need to execute it. Based on the different graph you have created different nodes and what are the transformation, now actual execution base will execute on that. Right? So it need to execute it, and this happens only after an action has been called. Now in Spark or Spark maintain like each RDD lineage from your previous RDD, each RDD lineage from previous RDD on which it depends. Now very interesting thing what you can do, you can use to debug string method just to view that lineage. Okay, so in Python you have function called like print, and then you can put my data as an RDD dot, let's say, to debug string. You can use this. Okay, so this is all about the RDDs.